In my business, I see a lot of things people think are valuable, but most of the time, it's just sentimental. Real value, that's different. It has history, it has a story. And tonight we're talking about something with more stories than almost anything else that comes through my door. Coins. I'm not talking about the change in your pocket. I'm talking about a time when money was heavy, it was powerful, and you could feel its worth right in your hand. These little pieces of metal weren't just for buying bread. They were political weapons, stamped with the ambitions of a new nation. They were emergency tools, hoarded when the world went crazy. And they are silent witnesses to history, passed from hand to hand, through wars, depressions, and gold rushes. This isn't a story about shiny objects for collectors. It's about how a few specific coins shaped American history, destroyed fortunes overnight, and exposed the raw, hidden power of the government. Forget what you think you know about money. The real stories aren't in the history books, they're stamped right into the metal, and the government doesn't always want you to know them. Some of these coins were never supposed to exist. They were mistakes, secrets, survivors of a government order to have them destroyed. Tonight, we're not just looking at coins, we're going to uncover the secret American coins that changed history. You're not going to want to miss this. After the Revolution, America had a big problem. It was a country, sure, but it didn't have its own money. Imagine walking into a shop back then. You might pay with a Spanish dollar, a French franc, or some beat-up English shilling. It was chaos. Every transaction was a negotiation, a headache. The founding fathers knew this couldn't last. A nation needs its own currency. It's a symbol of independence, of power. So, in 1792, they passed the Coinage Act. This wasn't just about making change. It was about declaring to the world that the United States was here to stay. This act created the United States Mint in Philadelphia, the first federal building erected by the new government. But making coins back then wasn't like it is today. There were no giant automated presses spitting out millions of pennies. Each coin was a work of art and a work of labor. They had to melt the metal, prepare the dies by hand, and then a guy with a strong arm would literally strike each coin, one by one. It was slow, difficult work. The pressure wasn't always even. The strikes weren't always centered. Every single coin was unique. Because of this, very few of those early coins were ever made. And even fewer survived. People used them until they were worn smooth. They were melted down when the value of the silver or copper inside became worth more than the face value. Or they were just lost to time. Finding one of these early American coins today, like a 1794 flowing hair dollar, is like finding a ghost. It's a direct link to the birth of the nation, held in the hands of the first generation of Americans. That's why they aren't just valuable, they're priceless pieces of history. You can't put a price on that. For the first few decades, American coins were mostly silver and copper. Gold was rare. But then, in 1848, everything changed. A guy named James Marshall finds some shiny flakes at Sutter's Mill in California, and boom, the gold rush begins. Suddenly the United States wasn't just a new nation, it was a rich one. Gold poured out of the West, and the government needed a way to turn all that raw metal into something real, something that projected American power across the globe. The answer was the Double Eagle, a massive $20 gold piece, first minted in 1849. This wasn't a coin for buying groceries. This was a coin for big deals, for international trade, for banks. Holding one of these feels different. It's heavy. It's almost an ounce of pure gold. It was a statement. It said America had arrived on the world stage, and our money was as good as, or better than, any king's. The westward expansion wasn't just won with guns and grit. It was financed by these beautiful, heavy pieces of gold. But gold is more than just money. It's a tool of control. When things get scary, people don't trust paper. They trust gold. During the Civil War, both the Union and the Confederacy scrambled for it. People hoarded gold coins, hiding them away because they knew that no matter who won the war, gold would still be gold. The government knew this too. Controlling the gold meant controlling the economy, and controlling the economy was key to winning the war. These coins weren't just currency, they were a nation's emergency fund, the ultimate measure of security in a world falling apart. Now we get to a story that sounds like something out of a Hollywood movie. It's 1933. The Great Depression is hitting hard, the country is on its knees, banks are failing, and people are panicking. The new president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, has a drastic idea. To save the economy, he needs to get people to stop hoarding gold. So he issues Executive Order 6102. It makes it illegal for private citizens to own gold coins. He orders every single gold coin in the country to be returned to the government to be melted down into bars to sit in Fort Knox. The U.S. Mint had already produced nearly 500,000 of the new 1933 St. Gaudens double eagles, considered by many to be the most beautiful coin ever made. But before a single one could be officially issued, the order came down: melt them. Every last one. Officially, that's what happened. The entire mintage of 1933 double eagles was destroyed. They were never legal currency. They were never supposed to see the light of day. Officially, they don't exist. But here's where it gets interesting. A few of them escaped. A mint cashier, we think, smuggled about 20 of them out before they could be melted. For decades, the Secret Service hunted these coins down, calling them stolen government property. They chased them across the world, seizing them from collectors, from dealers, even from the King of Egypt. For years, the government insisted no 1933 double eagle could be legally owned, until one. After a long legal battle, one single coin was monetized by the U.S. Treasury and allowed to be sold. In 2002, it sold at auction for over $7.5 million. A coin that was never meant to exist became one of the most valuable in the world. If you think the story of the 1933 double eagle is crazy, hold on. At least those were actually minted, even if they were ordered destroyed. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel is a whole other level of mystery. You see, in 1912, the Mint officially stopped making the Liberty Head design. They switched to the new Buffalo nickel in 1913. All the records show this. The official story is that not a single Liberty Head was struck in 1913. It's impossible. And yet, 5 of them exist. Just 5. How? The story goes that a rogue Mint employee named Samuel Brown secretly struck them using the old dies. He kept them hidden for years. It wasn't until 1920 that the coin world got its first glimpse of them when Brown put an ad in a magazine offering to buy any 1913 Liberty Head nickels, just to create a buzz. It was a brilliant marketing move. He created a legend out of thin air, and he was the only one who could deliver the goods. Each of these 5 coins has its own incredible story. One was owned by a collector who carried it in his pocket for years, showing it off at bars. Another disappeared for over 40 years after a car crash, and was thought to be a fake until experts finally authenticated it. These coins have been owned by eccentric millionaires, ruthless dealers, and even a king. Every time one comes up for sale, it's a massive event. One of these nickels, a coin that officially was never made, can sell for over $5 million. It's the ultimate proof that sometimes, the most valuable things are the ones that aren't supposed to be here. Wars change everything, and that includes the money in your pocket. When World War II broke out, the United States went into total war mode. Every resource was critical, especially metals like copper and nickel. Copper was needed for shell casings, for wiring in planes, and ships. Nickel was essential for armor plating. Suddenly, using these strategic materials to make pennies and nickels seemed like a huge waste. The country was in a fight for survival, and the coins had to change. So in 1942, the Mint started making nickels out of a new silver alloy, which you can spot by the large mint mark above Monticello. But the big change came in 1943. To save copper, the government ordered the U.S. Mint to make pennies out of zinc-coated steel. These steelies looked strange, they were magnetic and they rusted easily. People didn't like them, but it was a wartime necessity. For 1 year, the familiar copper penny disappeared, replaced by this silvery substitute. It was a constant reminder every time you reached into your pocket that the country was at war. Here's where $1 million mistake happens. The plan was to switch completely to steel for 1943. But at the end of 1942, a few leftover copper planchets, the blank discs used to make coins, were still sitting in the hoppers of the coin presses. By accident, a handful of these copper blanks got fed into the machines and were struck with the 1943 date, a 1943 copper penny. It's an error, a coin that should not exist. Only about 40 are known to survive. It's one of the most famous and sought-after error coins in American history. Find one of those in your grandpa's old coin jar, and you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more. In my shop, I always say, you gotta check for the details. A little mistake can be the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth a fortune. The United States Mint produces billions of coins a year. They have quality control, sure, but they're not perfect. And every now and then, a mistake slips through. These aren't just blemishes. These are errors that create legends. And sometimes, those legends can make you a millionaire. We're not just talking about the 1943 copper penny. The world of error coins is vast and fascinating. Take something like a double die. This happens when the hub, which creates the die, strikes it twice at slightly different angles. The result is a coin with doubled letters and numbers. The most famous example is the 1955 double die Lincoln cent. The doubling is so dramatic you can see it with the naked eye. The Mint discovered the error during production, but decided it was too late to scrap the batch. They just let them go out into circulation, mostly in cigarette packs from vending machines. Finding one today in good condition can be worth thousands, but it's not just old coins. In 2004, people started noticing something weird about the new Wisconsin state quarter. Some of them seemed to have an extra leaf on the ear of corn on the reverse side. Was it intentional? A mistake? Collectors went crazy. It turns out it was an error made during the die-making process. People were searching through rolls and pocket change like it was a treasure hunt. These extra leaf quarters, especially the high leaf variety, can still be found in circulation if you look close enough. It just goes to show you, a multi-million-dollar treasure might not be a huge gold coin. It could be a quarter you got as change yesterday. You just have to know what you're looking for. So, you've seen the stories. A coin made of the wrong metal, a coin that wasn't supposed to be made, a coin that survived being melted down. But why? Why does a little piece of metal become worth millions of dollars? It's not magic. In my business, it comes down to four things. I call them the four forces of value: rarity, demand, condition, and history. You need all four to hit the jackpot. First, rarity. This is the obvious one. How many are there? For the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, there are only 5. For the 1933 Double Eagle, only 1 is legal to own. That's the ultimate rarity. But rarity alone isn't enough. There are plenty of rare coins nobody cares about. That brings us to the second force: demand. People have to want it. The stories behind these coins, the government secrets, the heists, the mistakes, create a mythology. Collectors, investors, museums, they all want to own a piece of that legend. That intense desire is what drives the price into the stratosphere. Next is condition. A beat-up, worn-out coin is one thing. A perfect, pristine specimen is another. In the coin world, we use a grading scale from 1 to 70. The difference between a grade 64 and a grade 65 can mean millions of dollars. It's all about the tiny details, the luster, the absence of scratches. Finally, and for me, most importantly, is history. Who owned it? What was happening in the world when it was made? A coin that was in King Farouk's collection or survived a government meltdown has a story you can't put a price on. When all four of these forces, rarity, demand, condition, and history, come together in one coin, that's when you get a multi-million-dollar sale. When you look back at all these stories, you start to see a pattern. The United States government and the Mint are in the business of order, of uniformity. They want every penny to be identical, every dollar to be perfect. They want to control the money supply, to project an image of stability and strength. But history is messy. It's full of emergencies, wars, and human error. And the most valuable, most famous coins in American history are not the product of that order. They are the product of chaos. Think about it. The 1933 Double Eagle exists only because someone broke the rules during a national crisis. The 1943 copper penny is a treasure because of a simple factory mistake under the pressures of war. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel is a legend because a stubborn employee decided to make something that was forbidden. These coins are the government's unintended legacy. They are the beautiful, valuable accidents that happened when the system broke down. In a way, these coins tell a more honest story about America than the perfect mass-produced ones. They show that history isn't a straight line. It's made in moments of panic, desperation, and sometimes, quiet defiance. The government, in its attempt to control everything, accidentally created artifacts that are now worth more than their weight in gold, more than their face value, because they carry the story of the moment they were made. They are the exceptions that prove the rule, and that's what makes them treasures. They were never meant to exist, and that's precisely why they are immortal. So, what have we learned? That a coin is never just a coin, it's a story stamped in metal, it's a snapshot of a moment in time, whether it's the birth of a nation trying to find its footing, a country fighting for its survival, or a government trying to control a crisis. These rare pieces show us that value isn't just about gold or silver content, it's about the story, it's about rarity, mystery, and the human element, the mistakes and the secrets that create a legend. Every coin that passes through your hands has been on a journey. It's been in 1,000 pockets, paid for 1,000 different things, and witnessed moments we can only read about. The next time you get some change, take a second and look at it. Check the date. Look for anything unusual. You probably won't find a 1943 copper penny, but you're holding a piece of history nonetheless. It's a reminder that the past isn't some distant, dusty thing in a book. It's real. It's tangible. And sometimes, it's right there in your pocket. In the end, that's what makes these objects so powerful. They are time machines. They preserve moments of panic, ambition, and survival for us to find 100 years later. They prove that history is not just written in books by the powerful, but it's also stamped into the small, everyday things that get passed down, traded, and sometimes forgotten. It's a story waiting to be rediscovered. And in my business, you never know when a story like that is going to come walking through that door.